guys and girls. This is Kathleen Bradley, and you are listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that the next edition of TV Confidential will premiere next week on the station at the usual time. Please join us for part 2 of our conversation with Emmy Award-winning writer-producer Robert Iles. In the meantime, this past Thursday, March 12th, marked the 100th anniversary of the birth of Joe Franklin. Joe Franklin, the legendary talk show host recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the host of the longest-running TV talk show ever. Joe Franklin's Memory Lane not only aired every day on New York television for 41 years, but was also broadcast nationally for many years on superstation WOR, plus it was syndicated in other markets. You might recall that our friend Phil Gries and I had an opportunity to talk to Joe Franklin back in February 2014 here on TV Confidential. We thought we'd play a clip from that conversation as part of our program this week. Joe Franklin, welcome to TV Confidential.
Ed, it's my pleasure. I've been a fan of yours for many. You've been my role model for many years, Ed.
Oh, you're just saying that.
Because it isn't. Because it is true. I'm just kidding.
Well, I know you're just kidding, but that's part of the secret of why you are such a great talk show host, because you know how to put the guest at ease right away.
Listen, as I've said many times, it's been copied now by so many people. The secret of longevity in my profession, where the failure rate is calamitous, the secret of success is sincerity. And once you learn to fake that, then you got to say. That's my little slogan. That's my catchphrase.
There you go. Who was the very first person you interviewed?
The very first was Otto Preminger. Otto Preminger, the great film director. And that was my first time on TV. I was in a little dusty studio at Channel 7. It was WJZ TV. It wasn't even WABC TV. It was WJZ TV. And there was no such thing as daytime TV. Mm-hmm. The man who brought me in there was in fact, he died today. Bob Grant. Remember the name Bob Grant? The man he was my best friend. He brought me into one of the executives at Channel 7, and he got him to listen to me on the radio on WNEW, and they said, Joe, we like your voice, we like your personality, we're considering lighting up with the day. There was no daytime TV. It was only TV was on from Sermonette, from 5 o'clock at night till Sermonette. Joe, we like your voice. We're considering giving you an hour. We're considering lighting up in the daytime, and then we give you an hour a day. Joe, what kind of a show might you do? So I said, I'm going to do a show. People talking, nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball, just chatting. They said, Joe, you're out of your mind. They said, you can't do a talk show on television. You got to give them action. You got to give them self-development, the pratfalls, the baggy pants, and burlesque hits. And I wanted to defy them, but I couldn't defy them. So, but rock and roll was just coming in. So I said, I do a show of kids dancing to records. They said, Joe, now we know you're not supposed to watch kids dance to records. So Dick Clark came along, becomes a multi-billionaire. But I defied them now twice, and I did it the first pure organic from the bones TV talk show, Red, and I think that I started something. But every day now, 5 new people started to talk show every single day of the week. So I think for better or worse, I did something constructive at that time, right?
Joe, let me interject. This is Phil Gries on the other line. Hi.
Long time, Phil. I'm proud of you.
It has. I want to interject and let's bring back the memory. Prior to Memory Lane, prior to you going on Memory Lane on WJZ in 1952,
right.
I have researched you having a program Monday through Friday, noon to 12:30, called Joe Franklin's Disc Jockey.
Tell me what I'm doing. It was cool.
And then afterwards, in May of 52, you did Starlight to Stardom. So you really, you need the Dick Clark era, and there was something, I'm not sure exactly what you were doing with Disc Jockey, unless it was just spinning records, but did you ever do anything that related to dancing with music?
What was the first show you mentioned, Ed?
Disc Jockey, 1951, January.
I think I did kind of a late show on WJZ radio. I would come up in the elevator every night with Jerry Lester. Remember the program Broadway?
Oh, Jerry Lester,
yes.
sure.
Yes.
I was doing radio at the same time he was doing TV, and I guess you're right. Spotlight to Stardom was something that they took off the air. They took me off. It sounded so much a lifetime.
Well, you had the opportunity in September to begin Memory Lane.
That's right, which I started. My first week, I had Otto Preminger, I had Kim Novak, I had Sophie Tucker, I was
first program, September 21st, 1952, first guest, Irving Sousa.
He was on the first week, right? The first week, you're right about that.
First day, first time.
I'm probably, I got about a concept.
Listen to this, Ed. This is mind-boggling, Joe. You had Sunday night from 10:15 p.m. to 10:30, 15 minutes.
That's right. I followed Walter Winchell. He was on from 10 to 10:15, and we would meet in the hallway and talk and chat. And one night, my guest was the comedian Will Jordan. So he did his Ed Sullivan impression, and after that the phone rang, and I said, "Who's on the phone?" They said, "Ed Sullivan." So I started shivering. Oh my God, here comes a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So I got on the phone and said, "Can you please speak to Will Jordan?" I said, "Yeah, Will, come to the phone. Ed Sullivan wants to talk to you." So he asked me to come on his show the following week on the Ed Sullivan Show and do the impression of Ed Sullivan they did on the Joe Franklin Show. So in other words, that was the beginning of all these people doing the Ed Sullivan thing. It was discovered on my show by Will Jordan. You know the name Will Jordan, right?
I know him very well. I know him. Yeah.
Well, she'll tell you that. So we got a lot of good memories. But I had through the years. I had Ronald Reagan. I had Richard Nixon. I had Charlie Chaplin. I had Cary Grant. I had John Wayne. I had Frank Sinatra. I had Bing Crosby. I had everybody except Greta Garbo. But I think, according to some people who are Joe Franklin archivists, that I've had maybe 500,000 guests. So it's 43 years, and that's a long time. And I got people out after me to bring back the Joe Franklin Show the way it was, plain and simple and pure and clean. It was sort of a contrast to what's happening today. But I don't think I should take on the kind of schedule. Like I was a Bravo. I got a network wanted to do a sitcom with me. I play the executive in a talent agency who hung up. Talent agency that runs the B-list. I don't want to take that on either. I'm still doing my Bloomberg radio thing, and I talk at colleges, I talk at nursing homes, and I'm not going to quit till I get it right.
You have a long time to continue. You're still a youngster.
2 more weeks in there, right? But I'm enjoying it. I really am. This week on Bloomberg, I've got Shirley Jones, I've got Neil Sedaka, I've got Olivia Newton-John, I got Cindy Lauper. I get good people, but I do telephone interviews on Bloomberg Radio, and I'm getting a nice reaction. It's played on Sirius Radio. It's played all over the world. If the wind is strong, you can even hear it in Brooklyn. That's what I always say, but it's a big audience out there.
Our conversation with Joe Franklin originally aired in February 2014. March 12, 2026 marked the centennial birthday of Joe Franklin. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Hey, friend, I hope you know this is Pat Boone, and you and I are enjoying TV Confidential with my buddy Ed.
From your own Jim Backus was, how did you begin doing somebody else's? Magoo's or anybody else?
See that you never go. Right? It's about Washington, Senate, anatomy of a murder, was about court.
That's the one I was thinking of, anatomy of...
Just to give you an idea of what you'll hear on Joe Franklin's TV audio archives, there are segments of Joe in conversation with Jim Backus, Myrna Loy, Olivia de Havilland, Basil Rathbone, Vincent Price, Tom Bosley, and as Joe mentioned just a little while ago, Otto Preminger, who was his very first guest on the Memory Lane show.
And I want to tell you in front of Phil Gries that I'm so indebted to what you've done in preserving and bringing back the golden age, not only of TV, but the golden age of the Joe Franklin show. And I get so many people that admire your work, and there are no words. I'm very, very, very much in debt.
Well, I'm a big fan of yours, as you know, and I pulled a letter that you wrote to me 20 years ago, coming up March 25th.
Right.
In fact, it was the day around your birthday. and it was at that time when I sent the compilation of Joe Franklin shows that I recorded 50 years ago, and it was a labor of love to put together. I watched you as a young person in the 50s. I would watch your silent movies just for the silent movies. I would actually record your honky-tonk off the air, and I would use that to make my own little Keystone comedies on 8mm film. You were a big influence to me as well as to millions of other people. You are really very special. You're a Guinness World Record holder. In fact, about a couple of months ago, we did an interview. Ed had on TV Confidential, Hugh Downs, and he even mentioned you as being a Guinness World Record holder above him. And he, for a time, had the Guinness World Record, but he mentioned you.
I had one of his colleagues on my show about a month before he died, Ed McMahon. And
yeah,
I've had them all. It's been fun. It's been a great career.
It's a great career that keeps on going because you're just you continue to add to your list. 500,000. It's mind-boggling. But again, you're a man. You love to talk to people and you just love to interview people. Joe, to you, what's the secret of a good interview?
Look in their eyes and get them to forget that they're on TV. And if they got a book to plug, do that plug fast. Otherwise, they're always nervous. You're gonna end the interview not get the book plug in. They do the plug fast. And apropos of what Phil was saying about people who got their inspiration by watching me play their old movies. Billy Crystal in his Broadway show mentioned that his first acting lesson was pretending to be sick so we could stay home and watch the Joe Franklin show and see. I would play Chester Conklin and Mabel Normand and Charlie Chaplin and Fatty Arbuckle. That motivated him to want to be a comedian. So it's Billy did me for 4 years on Saturday Night Live. I said, Billy, Crystal impression of Joe Franklin. The first time I saw Billy doing me, you know what I said? I said, Billy, one of us is lousy. Great.
All these people have you as a motivator, but I'm curious, if I may ask you, who motivated you, Joe, when you were very young?
That's such a good question. I would imagine my mentors. I had two of them, Al Jolson and Eddie Cantor. Al Jolson and Eddie Cantor. They were my two fans. And Georgie Chesma goes in there, too. But I think they were the three that motivated me and got me started. And I wanted to be like them when I grew up, which, of course, I could never aspire to be. But they did inspire me. And, Chesma was, it's so funny. Toward the last year or two of his life, he made his living doing eulogies. He would do the exact same eulogy every place he went to. The exact same. He would say, my dear friend, my beloved friend, my childhood friend, I'm going to miss this man. And one day the coffin was a little bit open. He said, oh, my God, I knew this man. That's what you call a little bit of hypocrisy, institutionalized, right? So fun. But I had that. And one of my mentors was Phil Gries. Phil has been the man.
You're too kind. I really have enjoyed our relationship. I know that you have loads of years ahead. I'm glad you're still active on Bloomberg. Appreciated you interviewing me on Bloomberg a year or two ago. I think that you all need mentors, and that's why the question, Al Jolson. Did you ever interview Al Jolson?
He died 1 year before I began. He died October 26, 1950. When did I start the film?
1951, January.
Right? He died about 3-4 months before I began, yeah.
Well, but you had a chance to honor Jolson because you produced an hour-long documentary for television.
I must have done about 7 or 8 documentaries on Jolson on radio and TV. I did it with Jolson several times in 1948, 49. He made his comeback,
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt he died as much a casualty of the Korean conflict as any fighting man. He sang his heart out, and he came back and he had a heart attack. He was 64 years old when he died. It was tragic that a man. He's known as the world's greatest entertainer, which I say that still applies. And,
but the one show that I know Ed is referring to is when I recorded in 1962, October 16th, on WOR. You did Perspective. I remember Jolson, and you hosted this wonderful 1-hour retrospect. And as guests, get this, you had Arthur Klein on, who discovered Al Jolson in 1909. Irving Lee was a guest. Irving Caesar again a guest. Georgie Price, Beverly Rabbit, Carol Bruce, Rudy Valley. That was a fabulous show, Joe.
Arthur Klein was a famous showman. He showed me a letter that Jolson wrote to him in 1909 when Jolson was locked in a hotel room in Philadelphia, asking Arthur if he could please Sam a couple of dollars to bail him out of that hotel room. You know, so things have changed, and Arthur very sadly committed suicide in his hotel room. But he was in his day. In his heyday, he was a big agent, a big manager of talent, and he was Jolson's true discoverer. And I remember that show very vividly. I think we did one on NBC, had a program called Monitor. Remember?
Yes, I remember Monitor.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did a Jolson tribute on that show as well with Georgie Price and Georgie Jesselyn. Oh, we got great memories. I did many Eddie Cantor tributes and many Georgie Jesselyn tributes, and I think my favorite could have been Bing Crosby. About half many years, I think Bing was my favorite because I always thought of Bing as what you would call mechanically reproduced. I thought of Bing on radio, on records, on TV, on movies. But when he walked with me, flesh and blood, I think that day I melted. I did my best interview, and he was normally very cold, very aloof. But that day he was not cold or aloof. He was just charming and nice.
That's one of the videos that you do have. I know so many you don't, but I've seen that, and that video exists. I understand you had a relationship with Marilyn Monroe.
No, I wrote a book with him. I had a relationship. No hinky-dinky. That was too young. But we wrote a book called The Marilyn Monroe Story, which is a rare book.
So you ghost wrote that or co-wrote that?
Yeah, I co-wrote it with a lady named Laurie. I forget the second name already, but
it's a rare book.
There was a time it sold for $10,000. The publisher died the same week when it came out, so it never got many public hands. But it sells even a dirty copy today sells for about $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah, because it's rare.
Right.
Before we forget, want to mention, because you mentioned that a lot of, not too many of your early shows are available. All of the tracks that are available on the CD, Joe Franklin TV Audio Archives, they are made possible because of Phil's efforts taping them independently and making them available to you.
Without Phil, there'd be no Joe Franklin Archive at all. Everything, I put out some CDs on Sony called Joe Franklin Presents. Joe Franklin Presents, and it's all due to Phil.
Well, at least the early years. I mean, later on you did do some archiving. I know that there were others who recorded of your later shows, but going back to the late 50s and early 60s, I have not come across anyone else who audio taped any of those shows. Cornell Wilde and Jackie Mason and Johnny Mac Brown and, incredible guests you had. You had amazing guests.
That's right. I enjoyed them all. I enjoyed every single one. I had Mickey Rooney, so I had Jack Penny, I had Fred Allen, I had Rudy Valley, I had Kate Smith, I had everybody.
You ever have your boyhood pal Tony Curtis on?
Maybe 6 times. Yeah, he was on. He was one of my very favorites. I missed him.
Stay in touch up until his death. Were you still close?
Very close. I know all the books about his life. They show pictures of him on my TV show. I had Al Pacino on. I gave the first exposure. I mean, nobody discovered anybody, but I gave the first exposure on TV ever to Barbara Streisand, Bill Cosby, Tiny Tim. Remember Tiny Tim?
Yeah, tiptoe through the window, yeah.
I'm looking at a still from the Barbara Streisand website, and she has put up on her website a picture of you, Jack LaLanne, Barbara Streisand, and Rudy Valley together on that show, February 14th, 1963. It's an incredible photograph.
It's on her website, huh? That's really nice.
Yeah, it's on her website, and you're plugging her first album.
That's right. She's a great lady. I get the first exposure to. I started to tell you about Tiny. Remember when Tiny Tim was married on the Johnny Carson show?
Yeah, he got married. Yeah, he got married.
I was at that wedding. I couldn't make it. I couldn't find a formal shopping bag. I got some good memories, right, kids?
You got some great memories and some terrific one-liners.
We're talking to Joe Franklin, Mr. Nostalgia, America's first talk show host and the man behind Joe Franklin's Memory Lane, which has been recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest-running TV talk show ever, having aired on WABC TV in New York, then later on WWOR-TV, also in New York, for 41 consecutive years. Our conversation with Joe Franklin originally aired in February 2014. March 12, 2026, marked the centennial birthday of Joe Franklin. We'll take a quick time out. We'll play more of our conversation with Joe and Phil when we come back here on TV Confidential.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You got to call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
800-908-7197. 800-908-7197. 800-908-7197. That's 800-908-7197.